The Local Show, sponsored by Victory in Motion, home of knee repair, not knee replacement, on News Radio 570 WSYR, on 106.9 FM, and live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. The Local Show features in-depth conversation with business owners, employees, and influential business leaders throughout Central New York, exploring their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in our growing community. The Local Show is produced locally by Zoe Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
So let's get right into it, and we'll talk with Marie Farone right now, licensed funeral director at Farone & Son. You're obviously not one of the sons.
Correct.
So you're one of are you one of the son's kids?
No.
It was even before that.
Do you take offense of the name, or you're going to change it? Or?
I did when I first started, of course, because I was 19. I'm like, this funeral home can't be Farone & Son. That's crazy.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of work.
Right. And then it just seemed like the name was okay, so I just stayed with it. And when people realized who I was, because a lot of times they just thought I was like part of the family, like the wake.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sorry about your grandma. I said, no.
I work
here. I'm the funeral director.
Oh, good golly.
Yeah.
So do you work with your brothers then? Is that it?
Now it's just myself as the owner, and then my niece and my son.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
So you kept the name, but really it's all you.
Right. I mean, the original owner was my great-grandfather and his sons. He had two sons.
Oh, okay.
One died when he was in his 30s.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. So it was Joseph Farone & Son Funeral Home.
I see.
So give us a year, just like this. That was in the 20s or 30s? Or
no,
something?
1911.
1911?
Yes. The phone number.
Did he come over from Italy, or was he born here, your grandfather?
My great-grandfather was born in Italy, then moved to Schenectady, or came in and went to Schenectady.
Yeah.
He was a bar owner.
Okay.
And they said, we need an Italian funeral director in Syracuse, New York. And they were worried about prohibition.
Who said that?
Someone, I don't know. Like another Kumba must have said it, right?
What are Tom's people?
Right. Someone said it. I don't know who said it. Anyways, so him and his sister, which in 1911 was strange for a woman to be, to go get her license. They got their license in New York City. She moved to...
License for... funeral direction.
Directing. And embalming. There were two licenses.
Oh, okay.
Then. So she married Bonfilio and opened up a funeral home in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And he came to Syracuse and opened up his funeral home here. So she was probably one of the first woman to get her license.
Why'd she want to go to Boston? Or?
She must have met. I have to ask my dad. Yeah, she met her husband, and then they opened up the funeral home and called it Bonfilio Funeral Home.
That's fantastic, man.
And that's still running today too.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And they could be close to they're definitely on their fourth generation. I'm not positive about the fifth.
Wow. So back in the day, Italians went to Italians. Is that fair?
Yeah, and then you had your Polish people go to Polish homes.
Where did the people like the German, Welsh, Swedish people go? We just had to go to the...
No, there was German funeral homes.
Yeah.
I mean...
Do they have Metagon funeral homes or what?
Well, anything that's not Italian is a Metagon funeral home. Okay, so there are a lot of Metagon funeral homes.
That's so true.
But Farone has expanded, I don't know if that's the right word, but really you service every group, really, don't you?
Oh, sure,
Yes.
sure.
You know?
Sure. We jest, but they serve everybody.
Right.
And you do it with elegance and charm. How do you get through attitude-wise? Like, you've been doing this for so long. You said you were 19 years old, you were in it and all that. How do you stay positive, and what are the tips and tricks that you use for yourself and for your family to do this as a job?
Right. You do have to remember that it is a job, but you do want to be compassionate too. But, the families don't, like I always say, I know they want me to be compassionate, but they want me to, be strong for them so I could tell them how to get through this day and what to do, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
The other thing, like my father always says, don't forget, it's the first time, it's every family, it's their first time. I know it's not your first time, but it's their first time, so we have to try to remember that. And the other thing he said was this is the worst time of their life. So if they're a little bit, mad at you, don't forget this is the worst time of their life.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
It does.
Right.
But
It's good advice.
Even playing weddings, DJing weddings for as long as I have,
Right.
and being in that side of things, people are uptight and they have, wacky attitudes. And that's a fun thing.
And it's a celebration.
It's
Yes,
a celebration.
right.
So I can't even imagine going the opposite direction with that.
Right.
And there's, do you ever get to the point where you're really too busy? Is there such a thing as being too busy in the funeral business? Do you have to turn people away?
I mean, we have to ask families to wait.
Oh,
like
I
if
see.
they want their funeral, we want our funeral on Monday. I'm like, well, we probably can't do it Monday. Maybe we'll have to go to Wednesday or Thursday. And most families will, 99% of the time, the families will wait.
Yeah, they understand.
Well, if you look at the reviews, you guys are kind of worth waiting. It's
Thanks.
worth waiting for, right?
I hope.
And
Yeah.
if people have connected
Yes.
with someone, and you're compassionate, but you're going to get it done, for
Right.
lack of a better term.
Yes.
What's the rush?
Right.
I know several years ago when my dad died, there was a blizzard on the day
Yeah, I
of
remember
his
that.
funeral. So everything was closed, and the whole thing got put off by a whole week.
Right.
But that was, you know what? It actually ended up working out better because
Right.
we could do we had more time
Right.
to do things. Tom, you helped out making the videos
Yeah,
for Dad
yeah.
and
Right.
everything,
That was
and
big.
Right.
so it worked out. But it is the hardest time.
Yes.
So when people are direct, maybe upset, you guys just grin and bear it. And how do you deal with that?
You just, grin and bear it and just try to hopefully, it's hard to say something, but you try to say the right thing.
Sure.
I had a family that lost a little boy. It was in the news recently.
Sure, yeah.
But anyways, at the end of the arrangements, I heard the mom say to her husband, that was easier than I thought. So then I felt like, okay, I did the right thing because I was
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nervous about even be doing this for 30 years. You still, I was worried I was going to say something wrong. I mean, what do you say to this woman who lost her
Yeah, a
12-year-old?
child,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I like the whole. I'll just quote Jesus: "Mourn with those that mourn." It doesn't. It isn't like everything's great. It's not great.
Right. No.
Mourn with those that mourn, and they'll be comforted. That was a promise from Him, and
Right.
I think that there's an ability and almost a gift to do that, and it's a practice.
Is facility important to people? Like, I would think that coming into a nice facility would lift spirits up a little bit. And so tell us about, your newer facility over off of Taft Road.
Right. Yes. People want, because if they know it's going to be big, they want the parking, they want the facility large.
Yeah.
They want it clean. Our facility on Taft Road is large. It's bright. There's plenty of parking, almost 150 spots.
Do
in our
people
rooms.
often, and I don't know, do you have snacks and food and all that kind of stuff in a funeral home or no?
They did pass a law now that you can have food. At one time, you couldn't have food at a funeral,
all,
but now
okay.
you can. So we do have a room, an all-purpose room that we could use for a luncheon or.
Gotcha.
It's beautiful when you walk in there. It's like almost like an event center. I mean, it sounds,
True,
but
right.
because it kind of is. It's bright,
Yes.
and to your point, you walk in, you go, and you probably hear people say, "This is a funeral home," because it just
Right.
comes across.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, FaroneandSonInc.com on the web. If you want to ask Marie a question, give her a shout at 422-1911. There's that 1911 thing.
Right. Yes.
But we appreciate you being here and being in the community. Thanks
Thank
for coming.
you.
And
Thank
make
you.
no mistake, Marie Farone is running the whole thing.
Yes, that's right.
I want to say that. All right.
Thanks.